everybody. Welcome to Storytime. My name is Miss Kat and I'm the librarian at the Fillmore Library, and we're so excited to have you join us today. We are going to start off our day like we always do with our welcome song. So clap along with me if you know it. We're going to clap real slow. Welcome, welcome everyone. Now it's time to have some fun. Read some stories, sing some songs. Some are short and some are long. Welcome, welcome everyone. Now it's time to have some fun. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us this morning. We are doing Storytime a little differently, like we have been for the past couple weeks. Instead of you coming to Storytime, we are bringing Storytime to you. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm going to start off our day with our letter of the day. Okay, I'm going to put it up here on the felt board and you let me know if you think you know what it is. Okay, what do you think that letter is? So if you thought R or you said R, you would be correct. Our letter of the day is R. And the letter R makes the sound R. Can you make it with me? R, R, R. Good job. So we also, it's kind of special today, we also have a color of the day. So if you think about what colors you know, hold those colors in your mind and I'm gonna put up our color of the day. Are you ready? Okay, do you know what that color is? If you thought red or you said red, you would be correct. Our color of the day is red. Now, we have some fun reasons why we have the letter R for our letter of the day and the color red for our color of the day. And one of them is that the color red starts with the letter R. Can you hear it when I say the word? Red. And what sound does the letter R make? R, R, R. Great job, you guys. So you guys are gonna have to remember that our letter of the day is R and our color of the day is red when we, a little later on, listen to our story of the day. And maybe you can figure out why our color of the day is red and our letter of the day is R. Okay? So I'm gonna ask you at the end, so stay tuned. Well, now that we've got that taken care of, I'm gonna move these up into our top corner up here, and we are going to sing Rainbow Fun. All right, are you ready for Rainbow Fun? Sing along with me if you know it. I know the colors of rainbow fun, green like a frog and yellow like the sun. Orange like a pumpkin, white like the snow. A ruby red apple and a jet black crow. Purple like a flower, brown like a bear. A little pink pig and a blue shirt to wear. Awesome job singing, everybody. So let's take a look at our items here real quick. Can you spot the one that is the color of the day? Red? Which one here is red? Okay, if you thought the apple or you said the apple, then you were correct. Great job, you guys. Our apple is red. All right, let's go ahead and count them back all together. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great job, everybody. All right, before we tell our story, let's go ahead and get the wiggles out a little bit with one of our favorite songs. Let's sing Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes. Okay, you ready to do it together? Head, shoulders, knees, and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes, knees and toes. Eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Awesome job. Let's do it one more time. All right? Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Great job, you guys. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do hickory dickory dock. So get your arms together like the clock hand and let's sing. Hickory dickory dock, the mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 1, the mouse ran down, hickory dickory dock. Awesome job, you guys. Okay, are we ready for our story today? Let's go ahead and turn our listening ears on. Are they on? All right. Well, our story today is the story of Little Red Riding Hood. Have you ever heard this story before? Well, this kind of story is called a fable or a fairy tale. And that means that it was told a long, long time ago, but that we still like to tell it today. It's become a classic of sorts. So all fairy tales or fables begin with the words, once upon a time. So are you ready to listen? Okay. Well, once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived in a village next to a wood, and her name was Little Red Riding Hood. It wasn't really her name, but one time her grandmother knitted her a beautiful red cloak, and she wore it everywhere because she loved it so much. So the townspeople began to call her Little Red Riding Hood, and the name just stuck. So one day, Little Red Riding Hood was playing outside when her mother beckoned her in the house and told her, "So I've made some bread and some jam, and I would like you to take them to your grandmother because she's been sick the last couple days, and I'd like you to just go over and deliver them and check on her and let me know how she's doing." Now, Little Red Riding Hood loved her grandmother very much, so she was very excited to be able to take her the bread and jam. So she got her basket and she left the house and went on her way. But right before she left, her mother called out the door and said, "Now don't forget, don't leave the path and don't talk to strangers." But Little Red Riding Hood was so excited to go see her grandmother, she didn't really hear what her mother said. So off she went down the path. Now, Little Red Riding Hood was walking along the path through the woods when she began to notice some beautiful wildflowers that were just along the side of the path leading into the woods. And she thought to herself, oh, well, how nice would it be to bring Grandma a bundle of wildflowers along with her bread and jam? She thought that that would just be the thing to cheer her grandmother up after having been sick. So, Little Red Riding Hood walked a little ways off the path, picking some wildflowers. And then she saw some really beautiful ones a little further into the wood. And she went a little further off the path. And then she saw some beautiful red geraniums just off the path here. And she went even further off the path until she was so deep in the woods, she couldn't see the path any longer. Now, lots of animals live in the woods, and one of them is the wolf. And this one particular wolf spotted Little Red Riding Hood as she was picking her wildflowers, and he thought that he would love to have her for lunch. But the wolf did know that there were some woodcutters who were working in that very same wood, and he was afraid of being caught by them. But the wolf was smart, so he approached Little Red Riding Hood and started talking to her. And he said, "How are you doing? What are you up to?" And Little Red Riding Hood said, "I'm picking some wildflowers to take to my grandmother's because she's been ill. She lives just through the wood along the brick path." And the wolf heard this, and he thought to himself that, oh, a little girl and a grandmother would be an even better meal than just the little girl. So he offered to take Little Red Riding Hood back to the path so that she could continue on her way to her grandmother's. But he wanted to take a shortcut through the woods to the grandmother's house and eat the grandmother before she got there. So he led her back to the path. And Little Red Riding Hood had very good manners, so she thanked him, and she went on her way, and the wolf went on his, all the way to the grandmother's house. Now, wolves can run very fast, so the wolf got to grandmother's house long before Little Red Riding Hood did. And when he knocked on the door, however, it was ajar. So he went inside and looked around, and it looked like the grandmother had gone out on an errand. So he decided what he would do would be to dress up in the grandmother's clothes and sleep in her bed and wait for Little Red Riding Hood to get there. Finally, Little Red Riding Hood made her way to her grandmother's cottage with the bread and jam and bundle of wildflowers in tow. She knocked, knock, 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 on the door of the cottage, and she heard a voice say, "Come in, darling." So she opened the door and walked into the cottage. And she saw what she thought was her grandmother sleeping in the bed, and she said, "Hello, grandmother, how are you?" And the grandmother said, "Oh, I'm feeling better, thank you. Have you brought me something?" And so Little Red Riding Hood told her that she had picked some wildflowers for her off the path, and that her mother had made her some bread and jam to bring. And so they got to talking, and Little Red Riding Hood started to notice something funny. She looked closer at her grandmother, and she said, "Why, grandmother, what big ears you have." And the grandmother, so she thought, said, "Oh, all the better to hear your stories with, my dear." So they kept talking. And then Little Red Riding Hood noticed, "Oh, why, grandmother, what big eyes you have." And the grandmother said, "Oh, all the better to see you with, my dear." So Little Red Riding Hood kept telling her some stories. But as her grandmother, the wolf, was smiling at her, she began to notice something else. So she looked closer and she said, "Why, grandmother, what big teeth you have." And at this, the wolf couldn't stand it anymore. So he hopped out of the bed and threw off grandmother's clothes, and he said, all the better to eat you with, my dear. Now at this, Little Red Riding Hood realized that it wasn't her grandmother in the bed after all, but the wolf. And so she screamed and she ran out of the house as quickly as she could back down the brick path with the wolf close behind her. Now at this moment, the grandmother was coming back from her errand and she had brought her rolling pin with her. And she saw the wolf chasing her little granddaughter. And she thought, that's not happening. So she took her rolling pin and she hit the wolf over the head and chased him off and saved Little Red Riding Hood. And they gave each other hugs. And she said, next time you must listen to your mother, no matter how much you might want to do otherwise. The wildflowers are beautiful, but they're not worth being eaten over. So remember, stay to the path and don't talk to strangers. And Little Red Riding Hood nodded and they went inside and shared the bread and jam and smelled the beautiful wildflowers. The end. Well, I hope you enjoyed the story of Little Red Riding Hood and her heroic grandmother. Now, I told you at the beginning of our story time that there was a reason why the letter of the day was R and the color of the day was red. Now, can you think of why the color of the day was red? Because it was the color of Little Red Riding Hood's cloak. You're right. And can you think of maybe some words that start with the letter R that had to do with our story today? Little Red Riding Hood. Red and riding both start with our letter R. Great job, you guys. Okay, so before we finish up our story time with nursery rhymes, I thought we could do one more song. It's one of our favorites at Fillmore Library. It's called our Apple Tree song. So go ahead and stand up and look around you to make sure that you've got plenty of room and you're not gonna bump into anyone or anything. And let's put our branches in the air and we're gonna sing Apple Tree. Ready? Way up high in the apple tree, two little apples looked down at me. So I shook that tree as hard as I could. Down came the apples. Were they good? All right, our next fruit. What's this? It's a banana, huh? All right, go ahead and put your branches up. Way up high in the banana tree, two little bananas looked down at me. So I shook that tree as hard as I could. Down came the bananas. Were they good? Okay, last one. What fruit is this? If you thought orange or you said orange, you would be correct. So let's get our orange branches up. Ready? Way up high in the orange tree, two little oranges looked down at me. So I shook that tree as hard as I could. Down came the oranges. Were they good? Great job, everybody. All right, let's finish up our story time with some of our favorite nursery rhymes. Let's sing along to Hey Diddle Diddle. Are you ready? Hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle. A cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such sport, and the dish ran away with the spoon. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and count them back together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great job, you guys. Okay, and our other favorite, Humpty Dumpty. All right. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Okay, let's count this one back too, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, thank you all so much for joining us for story time this morning. I hope you had a wonderful time, because I definitely did. I hope you enjoyed the stories and the songs and a little bit of dancing too. So make sure too, if you like to do crafts, you guys can tune in to our Ventura County Library Facebook page, where I go live every Wednesday at 3:30, and I teach you each Wednesday how to draw a different children's book character. So if you think that that sounds like fun, make sure to join me on Facebook Live every Wednesday at 3:30. All right? Well, with that, that is the end of our story time. Let's go ahead and finish up with our goodbye song. All right? Story time is over, I hope you'll stay. Do a little craft or just play. When you leave, I hope you'll say, I'll be back another day. Thanks for coming, you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.